Riding in one of the royal carriages, Ellis looked at the people chatting excitedly. The way they were going about, waving their arms and looking so happy, she would have thought that a festival was getting near. Trying to remember when the next one was, Ellis confirmed that it was still quite some time for people to begin discussing it. Even though they had gone through such a horrible ordeal, the people still looked cheerful and full of life. Ellis occasionally waved at her people as she passed by, happy that everyone had recovered themselves and weren't dwelling on the losses. In front of the carriage, the entrance into the city could be seen. Like most cities inside of the Elven Kingdom, there was a feeling of artistic beauty. On either side of the gateway, there were beautiful elven women statues, as if welcoming people into the capital city. The capital city of the Elven Kingdom was considered one of the most dazzling of all the cities on this continent, though many were unable to see it considering how mainly elves were allowed into the Elven Kingdom. Isolationist policies were created in reaction to the Empire, who smuggled in agents and operatives to spy on them. To protect their people, her father had closed the kingdom of all who were not elves. The cities near the border were where merchants were able to trade their wares, which made several of the trade cities to be quite larger than the average elven city. Ellis praised whatever power had allowed only a couple of the major trading cities to be destroyed, hoping them to generate more revenues from the sale of goods which could only be found within the kingdom. The fate of her kingdom would have been more severe if several more of the trade cities were destroyed, cutting them off from the rest of the world unless they opened their borders. This was something she would only consider as a desperate measure, not wanting to give the Empire more of an excuse to invade them. While she was in thought, her eyes were drawn to a large doorway several hundred feet away from the entrance. It looked a little ridiculous, a door just sitting out in an open field. The more she looked at it, the bigger her eyes became. On the other side of the doorway, there were buildings, more advanced in appearance compared to those inside the capital city. Out of the doorway were hundreds of people with several times the number of large moving stone statues. "What are those things?" Ellie asked no one in particular as she stared at the moving statues. "Crystal, when did this thing appear here?" Ellis asked her advisor, who still hadn't regained her composure. "Your Highness, this doorway appeared an hour ago, and soon after people were pouring out of the door. If it were not for our severe lack of military personnel, we would have tried to fight them off. It was not until we saw one of the women who came with that boy did we realize that they were friendly and not enemies," Crystal explained. As the carriage approached the gateway, two women approached her. One of them was the silver-haired woman, and the other was someone that she hadn't seen before. Though this new woman was not as lovely as the silver-haired woman, she was still someone that would attract a lot of attention. "Your Highness," the silver-haired woman greeted her, though she didn't curtsy or bow. "As my master has promised, we have created a doorway to help make the movement of supplies and personnel easier. If you like, we can plan with your city designers so that any repairs are close to what the originals were in appearance. We will be creating additional gateways at each of the locations, with this being the central one that leads to Felicitas. If there is a different location you would like the door to be located, just let us know and we will move it." The way she talked to Ellis, it gave Ellis a sense that this woman saw her as an equal, if not a higher status level. "How were you able to do this?" Ellis was at a loss for words, trying to understand what was happening. "What are those statues?" She pointed at them. "Those are golems, and they were created by E to be used with completing various tasks," the woman explained, sounding more cheerful than the silver-haired woman. "Celestra, when did you get here?" Ellie asked, interrupting them. "Do you know this woman?" Ellis asked her daughter. Ellie nodded her head. She was a classmate of mine at the academy, and also one of the people that came along as an adventurer when I went to look into the ruins to find clues. "It is good to see you too, Ellie," Celestia answered politely. Though by her tone and body language, the two were not very close and seemed more like acquaintances. "Are you still an adventurer, or are you back living inside of the academy?" Ellie looked curious to learn what this woman was up to. "I have decided to leave that part of my life behind and stay near E's side," Celestia smiled, the look in her eyes explaining what she was thinking. "You are doing well in serving our master," the silvered-haired woman stated. Celestia blushed and gave a smile. "Thank you, Queen. That means a lot hearing you say that. You are now one of us, so it is only natural to say such a thing." Queen dismissed what Celestia had said. Ellie wasn't sure what was happening, but based on how the two were acting, something monumental was taking place. The woman named Queen turned back towards Ellis and stated, "To help strengthen your borders, Master has deemed it necessary to place weaponry which will be manned by golems. This will allow you to secure yourself from the Empire and not worry about training issues that may arise by having your own personnel utilize the weapons." Her expression was like a parent who didn't trust a child with a dangerous weapon. "Master has also decided to gift you with a shield to replace the ones you have developed. These are far superior to what you have created, so there are no concerns about handling the overflow. They will protect you from not only the monsters, but any other unforeseen scenarios." The girl named Celestia also added in, "E has allowed for travel between the capital city and Felicitas. Any of your people will be free to visit and enjoy the comforts we have to offer." Based on how this offer was presented, Ellis got the feeling that great changes would be seen inside of her kingdom with just this offer. Her spies that were sent into the city came back with reports detailing unbelievable things, which Ellis still had difficulty in believing. The main point she was doubting was how the city had no concept of a traditional monetary system. Those living in the city could enjoy all and any of the services and products created in the city without worrying about whether they had sufficient funds. Deep down inside of her, she was grateful for being able to prevent the Empire from invading her kingdom. Though deeper than that, there was a feeling of dread, as she wondered how much power this boy named E actually wielded, and what would it look like for anyone he deemed to see as an enemy.